What's going on, everyone? So let's talk about Victor Wembanyama because we got some exciting news recently that I think is very important. But you look at Wemby thus far this offseason, right? He's kind of all over the place, right? Like it's actually been kind of interesting to kind of follow his journey, right? He's working with monks and you saw the shaved head and he's out there, hooping with them and stuff and, kind of just learning that culture and all that stuff. And it's cool to see him kind of getting his zen on and all that and just you're seeing a bit of a transformation. And sticking with said transformation, got reports that he's at 245 now. Now, that means he put on, 10 to 15 pounds, which I think is very important for not only Victor Wembanyama, but the San Antonio Spurs, period, right? Now, Wemby, he's our center. So him playing the center, especially in the Western Conference, you need some physicality. You need a little more weight on him so he's not getting bullied and pushed around so much. Best defense player in all of basketball, right? You see it. He's going to win multiple defense player of the years if he can, play at least 65 games a season. But you also need the weight behind him, right? To match up. Something I've talked about, right, is him matching up. Imagine a 7-game series where he has to defend Jokic all game. Right? He's just getting body and pushed around, and the physicality that's allowed in the playoffs. Right? There's a level of concern with Victor Wembanyama. It's why I've even talked and suggested about going and getting a center that maybe moving Wemby to the 4. Wemby also likes to take 10 threes a game. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not saying he shouldn't take any threes. I'm not saying, because you want to be versatile, right? You want to have that bag. You want to be able to basically score and operate from anywhere. But he wants to be more Kevin Durant than he does Hakeem, right? And he wants to take more threes. And, when you're taking half your shots are 3-pointers, right? And you're supposed to be the center, but he's not even shooting. Like if he was shooting at a 44% clippers, it's like, yeah, sure, like you go and do it, right? But he's not. And we'll get into kind of the numbers here in a moment. But, there is this level of like, he wants to be more perimeter oriented. So should you maybe go look for a real starting center? My hope is with him adding some weight and some muscle and stuff like that, that might give him a little more incentive to operate around the basket more. The guy just goes go gadget and is able to score. Like you can't stop him when he's around the rim. He's too long, he's too lengthy, he's too skilled, right? So I'd like to see him kind of get better opportunities. There's a lot of times, a lot of games that the Spurs were in these, even the last 2 years, but last year in particular, Spurs were in right there, sometimes tied, within like a bucket. And instead of putting Wemby on the block and letting him go to work and just dominating the game from that element, knowing that Wemby is essentially unstoppable around there, it's like, no, let's have Wemby be at the top of the key and continue to jack up threes, right? Like I want to see the versatility in his game. I want to see him, take some threes, operate in the mid-range, right? Back to the basket, right? Be versatile, be chameleon. Like, hey, we're torching him or Wemby's hot from 3, then yeah, sure. If you're, 5 or 6 or 3, keep letting him fly. But there's also games where he's like, 2 of 9. It's like, why are you taking 9 threes if you can't hit? Get on the basket, get on the block, and go to work. There's no reason this guy shouldn't be a 30-point-a-game scorer. I mean, he's 24 right now, right? Like, continue to see that growth and development. But also, you got to keep in mind, you don't want to put too much weight to where he's not as mobile, particularly defending in the versatile ways that he's able to defend, right? You don't want him to almost kind of seem like he's stuck in mud at times because he's put on so much weight, right? You want him to kind of have that balance, put on some weight, put on some muscle, get a little stronger, right? Be able to not get pushed around so much, right? But you still want him to maintain the things that make him great, right? Which is that versatility, both on the defensive side of things as well as the offensive side of things. Him having that balance and his ability to defend out on the perimeter, close out to shooters, right? As well as protect the paint. You don't want to end up, he ends up putting too much weight on, and then he isn't able to get out to shooters of the way, or isn't able to stay in front of guys the way that he used to, right? So again, you want to put him in the best position to have success, particularly in the Western Conference, but you also don't want to overdo it. It's finding that fine line. But if he could be around, 250 range, somewhere like that, 245, 250, I just think that that could potentially go a long way assuming he can still maintain his versatility on both sides of the basketball, which I would imagine he'll be able to do. So that in and of itself is huge. Look, the guy is unbelievably talented. Right? The guy is still he's 21 years old. He's incredibly young. I mean, the guy easily could be a top 5 player in the league as soon as this upcoming season, right? What does he look like going into year 3? Right? Is he able to kind of continue to take leaps in strides? The guy is so good already that the Spurs are considering pushing their chips in now rather than closing in and building this thing out, right? That's why they're looking at a Kevin Durant. You don't go trade for a Kevin Durant to carve this out for 3 years. At that point, he's retired, right? So they're looking to go get a guy like a Kevin Durant or a Giannis or Jaylen Brown or any of these other stars because they're looking at it as like Wemby's red. Like Wemby is that great already. Let's try to go for it here, right? And I'm all for it, right? If you have the opportunity and you're in the position to where you can, and you have your young superstar, and if you can win a championship or two early on in his career, why wouldn't you? So that way, as he continues to evolve and emerge and then eventually moves into that top player in the league status or, top 3 at worst, whatever, Ben, maybe now you can go win some more in his later years as he's kind of continued to grow and mature as a player. But what did he provide last year, right? Again, there's some pros and cons to all of this. And obviously, again, you want the versatility of the game, but there are some things that I'm hoping with him putting on some added weight, he might get to being more kind of around the rim or at least more comfortable in that area. But 46 games played, 46 games started. I'm sure all of you are very familiar that he ended up getting blood clots, but he is expected to be fully healthy and ready to go for the start of the season. 33.2 minutes per game, 18.6 attempts per game. He shot 47.6% from the field. He shot 8.8 attempts, literally half of his attempts. He took 18.6 field goal attempts. He shot 8.8 from 3. Earlier in the season, he was at almost 10 3-point attempts per game, right? So 8.8 3-point attempts. My problem is he shot 35.2% from 3-point range, which, for a big man is great, but you're taking 8.8 attempts, right? You look at the previous year, he took 5.5 his rookie season, right? And shot 32.5%. To put that in perspective, Karl Anthony Towns doesn't even take that many threes a game. Right, and that guy's arguably the greatest big man shooter we've ever seen. Right, last year he took 4.7 attempts. He took literally half the attempts that Victor Wembanyama took and shot 42% from 3-point range. He's a career 40% from 3-point range, and for his career takes 4.3 attempts. Right, the most he's ever taken in a season was 8 attempts, 7.9, and shot 41.2%. And that was all the way back in the 2019-2020 season. Wemby in year 2 took more than that, took almost a full attempt more than that, 0.9 attempts more to be exact. Like that, again, I'm not saying don't take threes, but when you're 8 feet tall and a magical unicorn that no one can, or alien that no one can stop, and you get the ball within 5 feet and you can just go gadget extend for an easy bucket, like you kind of more around the rim. So I'm hoping that that's the case again. If he wants to take 5 threes a game, perfect, right? Fine. Giving me, basically a third of your attempts from 3-point range, okay. But half of your attempts, it's a lot. It's pretty great. I mean, like you look at guys like Steph. Like Steph takes, 11 attempts, and he's like the greatest shooter ever. Right? Like even he doesn't take, he's primarily that. Right? Like so. Again, you look at Steph Curry this past season, 3-point attempts, 11.2 3-point attempts. He's had multiple seasons in which he hasn't even taken 8 attempts. Took 11.2 attempts last season. So, again, he took, 2.5 more attempts than Victor Wembanyama last year, and he's the greatest shooter to ever play the game. And he had a total of 18 field goal attempts. Right? So, almost the same number as Victor Wembanyama and took almost the same number of attempts inside as he did from three-point range, right? Like, it's those kind of things that you got to keep in mind. And I'm hoping that with the added weight, you can put him in that position to have that success, right? But 58.6% from two-point range on 9.9 attempts, 55.9% EFG. But you look at it, he's basically almost 60% from two-point range, right? And that's counting mid-range and everything else. It's not counting just around the basket. Around the basket is like 70-something%. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but the guy's essentially an automatic bucket, right? So if you cut his three-point attempts in half, right, and you figure at a 60% clip, he's making at least another 2.5 to 3 attempts, right? So let's say that's another 6 points, right? I mean, he's basically a 27 to 28 point a game scorer. That's what he should be in. Don't get me wrong. Again, he's young, plenty of growth, plenty of potential, plenty of upside. He's in the development process, all of that. I get it. It's fine, but at some point, I'd like to see him kind of be more and operate more inside. Again, take threes. I'm all for it, right? It's the league we're in. I'm not, one of those people that are like, oh, he's a big man. He should just no, take some threes, right? Like, especially if you can knock them down. But, you gotta be able to balance is my point. But as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.